Hello, and thank you for stopping by. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. If you are not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when new videos arrive. Housing and minimum wage. Do they go hand in hand? No, not really. Housing has become so expensive in the United States that the typical minimum wage worker cannot afford rent, according to a new report. There is no state, county, or city in the country where a full-time minimum wage worker working 40 hours a week can afford a two-bedroom rental. A report from the National Low-Income Housing Coalition showed a full-time minimum wage worker can afford a one-bedroom rental, and only 7% of the U.S. counties, 218 counties out of more than 3,000 nationwide. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. When I was working for Kentucky Fried Chicken back in the early 80s, minimum wage was $2.35 an hour. The report shows that a worker would need to earn $24.90 per hour in order to afford a two-bedroom home at fair market rent. And a $20.40 housing wage would be needed for a one-bedroom. Wow. Fair market rents are government estimates of what a person should make or expect to pay for a modest home in their area. A housing wage is the amount a worker would need to earn to afford a home without spending more than 30% of their income on rent and utilities. These amounts are higher, far higher than many Americans, including seniors, people with disabilities, and working families, can spend on housing, wrote Marcia L. Fudge, Secretary of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, in the preface to this report that I'm reading from, or the story that I'm reading from. Rents are out of reach. Nationally, the average fair market rent is $1,061 a month for a one-bedroom and $1,295 a month for a two-bedroom, according to this report. Meanwhile, the average renter's hourly wage is $18.78, an income that can absorb only $977 a month in rent without being housing cost burdened. A household living on one minimum wage income can afford even less. That's $377 a month, the report showed. An average renter in 17 states, including California, Florida, and New York, earn at least $5 below the state's average minimum wage two-bedroom housing wage cost. The biggest gap is in Hawaii, where the difference between what an average renter earns and the state's two-bedroom housing wage is $20.13. Even the states, the District of Columbia, and several dozen counties and municipalities that have minimum wages higher than the federal minimum wage don't clear the bar. They are still way too low. In California, where the minimum wage is $14 an hour and the cost of housing is so high that it still has the highest housing wage, a person in California needs to be earning $39.03 an hour to afford a two-bedroom apartment and $31.06 an hour for a one-bedroom. A minimum wage worker would have to put in 89 hours every week just to afford the one-bedroom and 112 hours to afford the two-bedroom on that wage. West Virginia has among the lowest housing wages, but with a minimum wage of $8.75 an hour, workers will still need to earn $14.83 an hour to afford a two-bedroom apartment and $12.12 an hour for a one-bedroom apartment. That's still unacceptable, I think. The report includes an interactive map that shows how much you need to earn in your area to afford rent. The pandemic's impact. The pandemic exacerbated the unstable housing situation for more people and local and state and federal governments put protections in place to prevent a tidal wave of evictions. An unprecedented amount of federal emergency rent relief, $46 billion, was set aside to provide relief for struggling renters and their frustrated landlords. And that's understandable. Landlords get frustrated, especially the honest ones, because they are behind on the bills that they owe. And if you can't afford to pay your rent and they're not allowed to evict you and get somebody that can, then they are stuck. And it's not your fault that the pandemic zapped you. Now, there is some people that will take advantage of that, and they will not pay their rent and blame it on the pandemic, and they will use their money as a way to just jerk off and go spend happy. But many will still struggle to pay rent in the future without addressing long-term housing affordabilities, according to this report. There are 7.5 million low-income renters who are extremely cost-burdened, meaning they spend more than half of their income on housing, according to this report. This can put renters at risk of homelessness. More than 580,000 people were homeless during the peak of the coronavirus last year alone, according to the HUD. Housing affordability is a greater challenge for Black and Latino households, the report found, with those groups more likely to be housing cost burdened. During the pandemic, Black and Latino workers saw higher unemployment rates, leading to those groups being more likely to have fallen behind on their rent, according to analysis data from the Census Bureau by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. The NLIHC, a nonprofit policy advocate for growing and improving affordable housing, recommends expanding rental assistance to all eligible struggling renters and make investments in the National Housing Trust Fund and public housing to create, preserve, and rehabilitate affordable homes. Back in the day, that was something that could be done because it was profitable for renters to get low-income housing because people that were developing the housing and landlords were giving incentives to make their apartments available to low-income renters. Now, due to getting burned by loads and loads of people, it is no longer profitable anymore. It also asks Congress to create permanent national housing stabilization funds to provide temporary assistance for households at the risk of eviction and to strengthen and reinforce renters' protections in order to keep renters stably housed. Yes, but at what cost? We can't just wipe the slate clean. I wish we could. I wish America could file bankruptcy and just start all over. But we can't. I believe that people that are on low income should have housing. I believe that, and they shouldn't be punished because they're on low income. They should not be punished because they're handicapped or disabled. They should not be punished because they're a senior citizen. People that are on low income usually get stuck in a extremely small studio apartment in a high rise filled with drug addicts and alcoholics. And that is a bothersome thing for me. So I am curious to find out what you think. And if you are in the process of relocating, finding an apartment that gives you better value for the money, if you are stuck in the gap where you're on minimum wage and you can't get yourself out, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you know somebody that's in that situation, let me know that too. Maybe we can help them. If you like my videos, give them a big old thumbs up. If you would like to hit that subscribe button, please do so. Hit the bell icon as well so you can be notified when new videos arrive. I will let you go on this note. Remember, make tomorrow better than yesterday by doing the very best we can today. Have a good afternoon, America, and all points beyond.